All right. Once again, welcome to Generational Nick Suffering Hour. No. Yet again, here I am. I am Ram, joined by Luke as not Jeff and Peter as Baby Squid for yet another episode of the New York Power Hour. I am obviously not doing so good because of the Knicks and the Mets also losing today to the White Sox where they couldn't finish the sweep. But let's putting that aside, as the two of you said, let's bring the vibes up, right? How are we doing today? Luke, you seem to be pretty happy. What's on the mind today before we start talking about actual things?
I'm doing great. Yankees are playing well. A little bit bummed about the Knicks, but I'll rebound. I'll rebound from that.
Peter, how about you?
Well, sports wise, I have to say it was probably one of the best weekends I've had in a very long time. If you can't tell by my hat, my scarf, and my background, Napoli won on Friday and have won the Scudetto, the Serie A championship, for the fourth time in their history and their second time in 3 years. So for me, the soccer fan is very happy. The basketball fan is dead, and the Mets fan is so-so.
I have so many things about the Knicks series that are on mind, and all of them suck because I never want to be the guy. It's sort of like complaining about the umpires in baseball, where yes, there's a lot of reason to complain about them, but I never want to see my team in a position where I have to complain about them. It always kind of comes from that position of like, find a way to win the game regardless of the umpires. And so with basketball, it's the same thing where I'm very upset about the refereeing, but I don't want to be the guy that says the refs lost us the game because at the end of the day, it is part of the game right now. You need to execute. And so basketball has been not fun. I am one of those guys that says that you can't get away with saying that, oh, a team. By the way, Kenny's
Sempre,
shouting you out there.
sempre,
You,
Kenny.
you can't get away with the idea of saying, oh, that we didn't lose, we beat ourselves type of thing, like they're not the better team. Wins and losses matter. I said this during the Knicks and Celtics thing, right? At the end of the day, you want to talk about the fact that I do think the Celtics were the better team, but the Knicks won the series. You can't use the excuse that, oh, we beat ourselves for an entire series. So I can't sit there and say the Knicks beat themselves the entire series. But it's really, really frustrating to watch your guys get to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 25 years. There are people who listen to us who aren't even that old yet. So it's obviously been a while for the Knicks to be able to make it this far, and to see what they've been able to stumble through is frustrating. It's frustrating. It feels like I've got to sit there and eat a lot of crow. I know that there are some positives. We're supposed to sit there and be happy and say, oh, the Knicks made it to Eastern Conference Finals when they didn't have that expectation. We should feel good. But I think both of you can speak to the idea, not just for the Knicks, but in general, right? When your team overachieves and when the timeline is sped up and you start to believe for a moment, it does really sting even more when they can't go all the way, right? Luke, I see you nodding.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think we talked about this last week too. I'm New York true and true, true and through, and I'm still a Detroit Lions fan, right? And so, the story behind it is you go 0-16, you think to yourself, man, this cannot get any worse. Like this is as bad as it can possibly be. But it does. Like it gets worse. You start gaining expectations. You start getting attached to the players. Um, you start performing. The team starts performing well. They falter at the end of the season, miss the playoffs. You got to deal with Aaron Rodgers every single season for over a decade, right? And now it's like and now for Lions fan too, it's we have expectations to go to the Super Bowl, and if we don't make it there, then yeah, it's a disappointment. And I think that hurts even more than when you don't have expectations and they're not and they're met and you still don't get to the end of the season and you win the championship, right?
See,
Um,
that's exactly what I was going to ask you too. And this isn't. I know that it seems like I pick on you sometimes, but this is a legitimate question coming up. Yankees made the World Series last year, obviously, and they lost, right?
yeah,
Would you rather your team not make the playoffs, or would you rather them lose in the World Series? This is an age-long debate for everybody, right? Would you
I feel like
rather your team not get to the dance, or would you rather have to watch them lose in the World Series?
I feel like this is like a personal mental health question. Would I, would I rather just coast for the off season and just not have to deal with the anxiety of watching every playoff game, or do I want to just be in gut wrenching games for over a month and then just have your heart ripped out when Freddie Freeman hits a bomb off Nestor Cortez, because that was the last moment I watched. Like, that was the last moment of the World Series I watched. I did not watch a single game after that. I mean, I was so disappointed with Aaron Boone in that decision right there. And right then and there, it was like the Yankees just lost the whole series right there.
Peter, how do you feel?
Kenny makes an interesting point there, because you live for the pain. I think that's partly true. Like, if most of the joy from when your team finally wins, and I can speak, as a Napoli fan only because none of my other teams have won anything, is you enjoy it so much because of all the pain and all the heartbreak and the suffering you had to do. Napoli in 2003 went bankrupt, had to go to the third division in Italian soccer. They made their way back up. 2 years ago, they won their first championship in 33 years. So, they just won it this year. So, like, that feeling, it's, yes, obviously the feeling of the moment of itself winning is great, but then you go back and you remind all those times they finished second place and, got their heart ripped out at the end. And then I think of my other teams, like the Jets. The Jets haven't made the playoffs since I was a sophomore in high school. It was 2010. I would much rather make it to the dance and have a chance. And yes, it might be very painful, but I'd rather take the pain than feel nothing. Like with the Jets, it's just, I think about them. I don't feel anything really anymore. I don't feel joy. I don't feel like anger. It's just, it's kind of a big joke. And I prefer getting, my heart ripped out over that any day of the week. Like, you joke you have to deal with Aaron Rodgers. I deal with Aaron Rodgers for 2 years. It was fucking terrible. Would have wished that on my worst nightmare. I'm my worst enemy. But so yeah.
Didn't we get into a fight like 2 years ago about Aaron Rodgers? And I warned you about Aaron Rodgers, and you were just
because I wasn't.
He's gonna save the franchise.
Stop, don't make lies, because we met on the Discord. I don't even know if it's been a full year of me on the Discord yet. So I don't think that argument was with me. Because I've been pretty consistent with everybody when the Jets first signed Aaron Rodgers and you were on the New York sports radio listening, all Jets fans are talking about Super Bowl or bust. And I'm just like, can we make the playoffs first? Like there's like teams that are as bad as the Jets don't have the right to say Super Bowl or bust. Get to the playoffs first, and then you talk.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of truth to that, if I'm being honest, in terms of expectations need to be had when you've got to take this in baby steps for the most part. Yes, there are miracle runs. Yes, some amazing things happens in sports, and that's why we watch. But for the most part, it's a process. It takes time, and as Kenny, again, by the way, he's not Ken Danico. Aaron Rodgers.
Ken Danico sucks.
Did I ever tell you about the time I actually met Ken Danico in person?
No, please tell us.
For the sake of Kenny listening, at least, why not throw this out there?
So one of my really good friends, his father owned a company who had season tickets to the Prudential Center where the Devils obviously play. And where his season tickets were, or is right behind where they shoot the intermission reports. So
love you, Kenny.
It was like, I don't know, a minute or two before one of the intermissions, and I go to the bathroom and, doing bathroom things, and in walks Ken Danico. And it's obviously like, and he goes a couple stalls next to me, and I'm obviously trying to, respect, the bathroom courtesy of just paying attention to yourself. But it's Ken Danico. So I'm just like, okay. And then, I wash my hands, whatever. He's finished, wash his hands, and he just goes, "Hey, kid, how you doing?" And then leaves. And I'm like, oh my God, Ken Danico.
I feel like we're glancing over something in the story of bathroom etiquette, and you glancing over at Ken Danico's junk. Was that?
No, I didn't say his junk. It was up. It was up. I didn't look down. I didn't look up.
I just want to clarify.
I needed you to clarify the backup there, because you said it was up, and I was about to be like, his junk was up, because then you definitely looked.
Ken Danico,
and then you're telling me that you made Ken Danico erect.
No,
and at that point.
Ken Danico is a very tall man, so there's big distinction looking up and looking like, so, my head muscles, they were just looking up.
So you gave up the opportunity to look at the urinal to look at Ken, right? Is that where you made a sacrifice in that moment?
I guess if that's the way you want to put it, yes, I gave up a great sacrifice in not looking down.
Okay. All right. It's good to know. It's good to know where your priorities are, honestly. I mean, the story is a lot safer than I thought. And so you mentioned in regards to Kenny, I was like, I thought it was going to turn around to be like, oh, and then he hit me in the face or something. Like I'm glad that your urinal time with him was nice and pleasant. I guess.
Well, at the time, I think I was 17, so no, there was nothing. There was no sort of tomfoolery going on.
Oh, that's good. But I do want to point out the fact that you have immediately changed into everything Napoli. By the way, I saw the cup come up there. Can you bring the cup back on screen for a second? You
Sure.
got the blanket, the cup, the hat, the background. I mean, we have progressed from what was just a hanging tapestry in your.
Well,
yeah, this is what wedding does to people, right?
So it's actually I'm the vice president of the Tri-State Napoli Club, and this is our club scarf.
There we go.
So I
was gonna plug it for you. But you got it yourself.
Yeah, I was about to do it. I like that we care enough. So we care enough about you that we were both going to try to plug the Tri-State Napoli. Because I mean, listen,
I couldn't remember. I remember it was the Napoli fan club. I just couldn't remember that it was the Tri-State. I was just going to be like, yeah, he's the national fan club.
No, I mean Tri-State's fine because we're the New York Hour. We're not the National Hour, so I'm okay with that, right? It makes sense. It's right in our right in our area here in terms of sponsorship. But I guess because when I sent the email to the Tri-State Napoli Club asking for sponsorship as James Dolan, that might have been why you turned it down. But
I'm not in charge of sponsorships. That's not my role as vice president. So
then
somebody
it's a great thing that I sent
probably my treasurer sent it then.
That's a shame that he doesn't respect that James Dolan does. I just feel like you should give him a talking to.
I think I have to, yeah.
But no, to the point of before to swing it back because it's relevant right now for the Knicks and in general, right? I also do think you want to make it to the dance and lose if you have to pick out of the two. I've seen enough. There's always a chance to not make the playoffs, right? And then the idea is it's the long-term success that leans on that in the sense that if the Knicks get knocked out in the ECF here, they get eliminated by the Pacers. They made it to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 25 years, and their core is staying together. Overall, that means good things for the future, right? So that's fun. The idea, though, is in the moment, that sucks, right? Because in the moment, it hurts like a sumbitch. It's not, I think one of the worst things is like when they get you to buy in. Like the Knicks got me to buy in, obviously, and I don't think they're frauds. I think they're a very good basketball team. I do think that our coach is being outcoached a little bit right now. I do not think the Indiana Pacers are a dynasty team. It sounds like sour grapes because we are losing to them right now. So I can't really go on a rant and turn around and say, well, Indiana's not that good because what does that say about the Knicks if we're losing in a series to Indiana? That being said, I'm glad they're making it to the dance. I'm hoping that in a week I don't have to sit here and do some kind of like graveyard for the next thing because it overall is a good season. It's really easy to forget that we're a couple minutes removed from them knocking out the defending champion Celtics. And that was a really big achievement for a Knicks team that people thought that, the Celtics and the Cavs were going to run roughshod through the entire East. This is why you play the games, of course. But and I agree with you here, Kenny. I see the faces. I'll tie it into something else too here as a general question, since we like to talk a lot of bullshit on here, right? First game here when the Knicks lost that lead, Tyrese Halliburton in hitting the game tying but not game winning shot pulls out the Reggie Miller choke thing, right? And I think it's stupid, but that's also because I'm sour. Not your opinion on the choke, but in general, right? Because I find this to be a miserable thing, and I'm going to let Peter talk about it because I'm sure you agree. Karma doesn't exist in sports, does
it? Yes and no. I mean, for the most part, especially Halliburton in general. And last game he did the Brunson celebration. It's just lame. Like, you look lame. I'm sorry. Like the Knicks in the last game against the defending champion Celtics blew them out of the water. You didn't see any of that. No one was making fun of the Celtics like on the court. They just dominated the game, and then that was it. Like, it's just lame. And, okay, Kenny, that's cool, man. You do you, I guess. Yeah, Halliburton's just lame as hell. Like, they're sore losers, which you're trying to avoid sounding like, but they're sore winning too, and it's just really lame. Like, just win the game. Don't do that stupid bullshit.
Look, what do you think? You think karma exists in sports? Because I certainly do not at all. So,
I go back and forth. I mean, you think about, was it the Yankees in 28? I think it was 2018. Just beat the Red Sox. I think it was the ALDS in Boston, and Aaron Judge had a boombox and started playing New York, New York as he's leaving the stadium, and then the Red Sox proceeded to destroy the Yankees over the next couple of games and knock us out. So in that aspect, yeah, I do believe that there's karma, right? There's celebrating before the big result, right? And being way too preemptive. I would say it's one of those rare moments for Aaron Judge. I think he's humbled himself over the last years. I think he's learned from that experience. But man, if there was sports karma, I mean, you would never see success from the Houston Astros ever again. There is no sports karma when it comes to the Houston Astros. So I go back and forth all the time on sports karma.
yeah, sorry, I think my mic kind of went out for a second there. I get frustrated about it. I see that so Kenny agrees with you in that sense. That sports karma is a real thing. Si Juventus, so that's it's one of those things where I don't like the idea of talking your shit after the game type of thing. I feel like either the series should be over, right? And I should have known from the beginning that you were kind of talking your shit. Like, I don't know if I said this on air, but I've said this in person a lot, that one of the things that pissed me off last year about Halliburton and why I thought he was corny is that they went through a game 7 series with the Knicks after the Knicks were the hospital Knicks. And in game 7, Tyrese showed up in a regular fit. And after they won, knowing that everybody was hurt and Brunson was hurt, OG was down, everything, then he pops out this Reggie Miller choking thing as if it's like, oh, please, Reggie, notice me. Like, look at me. I'm being cool. And it bothered me so much because, like, you sit there for 7 games and you're like, oh, the Knicks are good. The Knicks are good. And then you, like, go ahead and after that, after the Knicks are hospitalized, you're like, oh, yeah, I've got the choke thing on. I'm a big man on campus. Like, for me, that's just bitch made. Right. And I thought it was corny. And so stuff like that annoys me where it's like, I never really found him to be a guy that I respected much. I thought that the guy that played in the Olympics and looked like ass was a guy that I am used to. It's just one of those things where it's like, I forgot. I think it was Jimmy Butler, but he was like, yeah, everybody acts tough when they're off. And so at the end of it, look, the Knicks are not eliminated. So I can't sit there and talk about the fact that the series is over. We might still see a miracle run. I'm not so hopeful just because of the way the Pacers and Knicks match up that the Knicks are going to pull out a miracle run, but it is what it is, and so let's bring us back to some brighter patches. Let's talk about something fun. And this is one that I can get, I think, both of your opinions on. Peter, you might have saw this. I don't know if you did, Luke, but a little bit earlier in the week, we had a situation where a fan was wearing a very, very special hat out there, and it was called illegal by one of the Mets broadcast fans. Let's put this out here. So we had a guy in the audience wearing this hat a little earlier in the week, and the cherished fans that both of you are, what feelings does this hat inspire in you as somebody who's a fan of a New York team? What does this make you feel, Peter? Why don't you give it a shot?
So in this past week of Mets games, we've had 2 very different but silly looking outfits in their own right showed up. The first one was this, and I believe yesterday there was a group of furries at the Mets game, and yet somehow this one is by far the worst one. I understand that there's Yankee fans that don't hate the Mets. And, they just want New York to do well, and they don't necessarily care about the rivalry. But to wear both on your hat at the same time, the only exception to this rule is if you're a parent or a direct family member of, like, if you have like sons that play on both teams, then you're fine. But like anyone, like, it doesn't even really matter the team. Like any of those weird combo hats, jerseys, I have a big problem with. I think they're dumb. Like pick a side.
Yeah.
There we go. There's the by the way, just to give you the.
And the worst, I wish he didn't show me that photo too, because he's wearing a Mets jersey too. Like it's bad. Like it's such a bad look. And on top of all of it, the design sucks. Like it's not even a good looking hat. And like if you pull up the other photo on it, because I want to comment on this as well.
You want the original? I can
get
it back.
The original one.
I got the original one back.
Oh, don't do it, because I know what you're gonna say. It's gonna be sad.
Yeah, no. Like I'm sure you guys are thinking the same thing. It's like 80% Yankees. Like, why is it like? You know what I mean?
Oh.
If you're gonna split it down the middle, like split it down the middle, but then the brim is also the Yankees brim too. Like, why? Like, why are you?
I actually agree with you on that one. By the way, you're 100% right that the brim is fully the Yankees. It's like they just painted in a corner with the Mets stuff, as if somebody did it.
Yeah, if you're gonna give the full brim to Yankees, you at least got to give the little cap on the top. Give the Mets color.
No, and the cap on the top goes to the Yankees too. Like,
this has got to be one of the worst hats they've ever made. I think. I honestly think it's got to be one of the worst, because, and I'm going to switch back to our guy over here, because this I'm assuming that his personality is that the Boston Red Sox killed his dog, because if you're showing up in a Mets outfit, right? You've got a Mets jersey on, and you're wearing that hat at a Mets Boston Red Sox game, you have decided that the enemy of everything that you believe in must be the Boston Red Sox, because you've got one chance really for the Mets to play the Red Sox, and you can be like, I can cheer for the Mets in this 0.5 seconds and root for the Yankees as well, because they're the enemy of the Red Sox. And the more I look at this, the more upset I get, and I understand why Gary Cohen called it illegal, because I think this should be a problem. This is heinous. I don't like this at all.
And I was hopeful that it was just like, okay, it's just like some kind of out of towner, like just there for the Subway Series, has no dog in the race, just whatever. But man, that is awful. Like that he should not be allowed at either field. Like he should not be allowed at Citi Field or Yankee Stadium. Like if he like there should be like a poster of his face and be like, this guy is not allowed within 100 yards of either stadium.
Honestly, more indictable than this fan. What is that? A New Era hat? It kind of looks like it. Why are you making these? Like MLB, I think you got to take their license away. Like this is an abomination what they're doing.
Yeah, because I believe this was for the Subway Series, because I remember when this came out, I saw this and I looked at all my friends. I've got Mets and Yankees friends, and we were like, no, absolutely not, right? And now that I look at it closer, I didn't notice it at first, but I do 100% agree with Luke that this is a lot more Yankees than Mets, so it's kind of an abomination, really. And I just don't think that this should be a thing at all. And for what, and I love the fact that you about to mention the furries, by the way, that they had to mention the furries on air for the Mets. Nothing has changed about the Mets. The memes just changed, but we're still like a bunch of fools. And I love that it's just like, oh, what's all going on in the Mets broadcast today? Oh, the furries are attending the Mets game. The furries
were there last year too, so
yes,
the furries seem to be they're a thing.
We're a couple years away from alongside Pride Night, a furry night. It's happening, folks. It's going to happen.
Maybe we'll sign Andrew McCutchen next. I know he says he's going to retire, but maybe he has another year in him. I don't know if you've I'm going to shout out another creator here, Foolish Baseball. He put out a video detailing Andrew McCutchen's stats during, I don't know, some Pittsburgh furry convention. And if you just isolate those stats alone, he is a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, and McCutchen is, as we know, enemy of furries. So it's kind of an...
No, he's not an enemy. He's a
he's a supporter. I remember that tweet, the tweet from like 2014 or something, where it was like, I love furries. And it's just like, it's never left. Luke, do you have space in your basement for the guy who's had this hat on, or is it getting a little full down there?
No, I think I have space. I think I have space. I have to get out of my own cage first, but yeah, I think I can figure it out.
Do you have space for the furries?
No.
Furry exclusionist. Luke, not Jeff.
Yeah, I don't have a litter box, so no, I can't have the furries.
Oh, you heard it here. Our resident Yankees fan is a furry exclusionist. Who would have thought? It's a shame.
What a terrible guy.
If they're good enough for Andrew McCutchen, they're good enough for me.
He is a former Yankee, so I guess I don't know.
Well, speaking of guys that may or may not end up in your basement, there is a gentleman on the side of Queens here that Peter is not so big of a fan of right now. And as he's primed me to mention this, so I'm going to throw this up here. We have got a Fire Chavez chant night going at Citi Field coming up. Do you want to expand on this at all, Peter? Because I don't. I'll answer your questions about it, but do you want to expand on how you feel about this?
I don't know if there's anything to expand specifically about the picture, but in general, and this has kind of been a growing concern about with Mets fans for the past couple of years. I will specifically highlight Alvarez. There was an article that came out a couple days ago, and similar articles have come out about him in the past, that he wants his batters to stand farther back in the box, see more of the ball, and swing opposite field. This really seems to hamper guys specifically like Alvarez, who pre-Chavez was, we were talking to him about maybe a potential 25 to 30 home run guy a season, just absolutely taking daddy hacks, pulling the ball. He's a complete shell of himself. So much so that Torrens is, and granted Torrens is playing really well, but he's getting more games now, and he should. Really the only player, much to my happiness and Ram's chagrin, that is benefiting from this batting style is Brett Beatty. Just because he has a very, very fast swing, so him waiting in the box deeper.
The only person on the Mets who's hit well all season has been Brett Beatty. You are 100% right. Nobody else.
Brett Beatty for MVP.
All right, gun to your head, Peter. Gun to your head. Where do the Mets rank? Where do the Mets rank in home runs in the league? Don't look it up.
Probably somewhere.
If we're going to fire Eric Chavez, where do they rank in home runs?
Probably somewhere in the top half. But let me ask you this question: where do we rank with runners in scoring position?
Runners in scoring position is kind of a different discussion, though, because by the way, they rank 11th. They're 11th in home runs, and
top half.
So
that's correct.
They're 11th in home runs. They are 12th in runs scored. And they are tied for 16th in batting average and overall hits. So this is the thing that, I don't know if firing Eric Chavez fixes that. If I'm being sincere, there's a lot of talent that is on the Mets roster, and one could argue that they should be hitting better. I certainly agree. By the way, I see Kenny throwing out some numbers there. I appreciate the gun was not to your head, Kenny, but I appreciate you trying the game. Thank you so much. But yeah, look, they're top half and then some right now for hitting. It's a tough one for me because, and you follow the Mets very closely, this is not the first time we've had thoughts about firing Eric Chavez. There have been discussions about the idea that, because I think his role changed over the years too with the Mets, right? Didn't we have somebody else? We fired him and then switched him back over.
No, so it was Chavez, and then he became bench coach, and they brought in Jeremy Barnes, and now him and Barnes are both co-hitting coach.
Right, so they have them together there. It's a tough one for me because I do agree that right now we suck with runners in scoring position, and it does seem like we're pounding the ball into the ground. But that being said, I'm not in panic mode about firing the hitting coach because I just don't think that I want us to be hitting better, sure, but I don't know if that fixes it. I feel like that's just one of those scapegoat moves where it's like, all right, we burn Eric Chavez at the stake, and then we still suck at runners in scoring position. And it doesn't actually do anything for us, except they have to now get a new hitting coach, new philosophy, and stuff like that. The Mets have done a really good job at investing in their analytics and the development of their players. And so if they seem to believe that Eric Chavez has got something going on, if Stearns is behind this, if Cohen's behind this, I'm going to give them till the end of the season before I start calling for heads. I know that obviously expectations should be high, especially on the heels of signing Juan Soto, but we have to have a little patience. It is the earmark of a Stearns building process is that it doesn't just happen overnight. And so maybe, and you look at guys like Alonso's having a career year right now, and Lindor is noticeably not in his I suck in the first half, I'm really good in the second half moment too. And again, if we're top 11 in home runs, we're top half in hits and runs scored overall. You got to admit that there's also some bad luck going on because with the team that's pitching as well as we are, if we're 12th in runs scored, we're kind of okay. That's not horrible, right?
Here's what I will say to counter yours. Last year, towards the end of the season, I don't remember the exact quote, but Lindor kind of called out Chavez without exactly calling him out. And to your point of the Mets player development, a lot of that seems to really be focused on pitching more so than hitting. With pitching, it really seems to be a personalized individual player-by-player situation. And hitting, it seems to be more of a group effort thing. And, you mentioned Pete's having a career year, and he's doing great. Eric Chavez was there last year, and he was not good. So, yeah, it might not fix all of our problems, but something has to change, especially with runners in scoring position. And you can't fire all the players. So, it's what do? You fire the coach.
Yeah, but
JD Martinez for hitting coach.
At 34 and 22, and they're about a game behind the first in the NL East right now. I don't know if it's the time to be making panic moves yet. I feel like that's the kind of stuff you get sucked into. Luke, do you have any thoughts on any of this since we've been kind of keeping you out in the dark here?
Yeah, no, I mean, a couple things. I mean, first of all, JD Martinez is happy and he's playing pickleball. So just let him be. Let him live retirement and play pickleball. Don't bring him into the Mets mess here. And let him enjoy his time on the pickleball courts. I'm not one to call people out and ask say, hey, we need to fire this guy. I would say the only exception is the guy at New Era Cap who designed that Subway Series. I think that's probably as far as they'll go, asking for someone to get fired. You look at the roster construction at the beginning of the year. And one of the notes I made for the Mets is, I mean, it's a great offense, but it's top heavy, right? The first 3 or 4 guys in the lineup are above average to excellent hitters, right? In Juan Soto, Alonso, and Lindor, right? You're getting the production out of those guys. What you're missing is the 5 to 9 spot right now, and those guys need to step up. I mean, I'll give Peter his flowers. I mean, Brett Beatty has been stepping up, and he's been hitting well in that 5 to 9 spot.
Yeah, honestly,
go ahead, Peter.
Brett Beatty has been playing well. McNeil has been playing as the season goes on. He seems to be playing better. Jared Young might be a guy. I doubt it, but I'll enjoy this weird month that we'll have out of him, I'm sure. But listen, it's like with the picture thing, it's a little bit memey. I'm not necessarily like a let's fire everybody kind of guy, but considering last year Lindor, who's he's not officially the captain, but he's the captain of the Mets, kind of called out Chavez. Like, if we start hearing rumblings of players getting outside help in some sort of way, like I know a lot of the pitchers for the Angels have mentioned getting outside help in the offseason because they have no pitching development, then I think we really got to take a serious look and see if it's time to bring somebody else in.
It's tough because, so let me see if we can.
Kenny, stop saying things that only I understand.
Let's see. So right now, going into, team average and runners in scoring position, I think the Mets are batting 245. Is this correct?
Yikes.
Let's see if I can. I'll double check that because I have last year's numbers and I was just looking at those. I don't know if I trust random websites, but I'll see if I can get the splits up here because I do think it's interesting.
I'm going to say this. I love random websites.
I love random websites as well, but when I need them for stats, I have fear.
It seems like they are batting 245 team average this year with runners in scoring position, according to StatMuse.
Right? Yeah, I was looking at StatMuse, but StatMuse says it has like when scoring over 0 runs, and I was kind of confused by that. But it looks like we are, if you organize that same StatMuse list, we are 14th. And we're about a percentage point behind the Royals and the Braves, who were at 246. So it might seem like it's worse than it is what I mean. It just might seem that it's worse than it is on the surface because I think Soto's one of the biggest victims of like grounding into double plays, and that also looks really bad because I think he's one of the league leaders in grounding into double plays, so that kind of gets the visual going. But last year, the Mets were 265 with runners in scoring position. Marketed improvement, obviously, over 245, but it's also not like it's again like I just don't see the need yet. It sucks. I want to give them the time to figure some things out, but again, we're not at a point where the Mets are even under 500. Now if they rip off 10 losses in a row, and we're at like 500 after the way they started, I feel like it's one of those things where I can jump and say, all right, we should start holding people accountable. But, if they win another 2 games and they're back in first place, I feel like it's kind of rough to say, all right, we're in first place again. Let's fire the hitting coach. Right. And the Mets have also faced a really tough strength of schedule up to this point. They could easily be 5 or 6 games ahead of where they are. Right. And we may not be having that conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, sorry. Go ahead. I feel like, you mentioned the difference from last year. It's a little bit better. I also feel like last year they were getting more timely hits. They were a little bit more clutch. Now it seems to be in close games when, when they have men on towards the late innings, they just, hitting a lot of double plays. And the difference, I feel like, again, from this year, from last year is we expect a little bit more out of the guys. We have Juan Soto, Lindor is not off to his normal slow start, and Pete's doing great. So it's like, we're expecting a little bit more. So we have better names, so they should be producing more. But, to counter my own point from the beginning, baseball is a long season. They are doing well overall. So maybe I am overreacting slightly. But,
yeah, because, like, to pull it up here.
I'll still be at the Fire Chavez night.
You'll be at Fire Chavez night?
Oh, yeah. I'll be there with my pitchfork in hand. It'll be fun.
I do believe that.
I don't know. Going back to your point, though, on runners in scoring position, I mean, you're saying the team's batting 245. I'm looking at individual stats right now. Pete Alonso, 321. I mean, that's amazing, right, with runners in scoring position. After that, Brandon Nimmo, 217. After that, Francisco Lindor, 180. After that, Mark Vientos, 146. And the guy you're paying the most money right now is batting 130 with runners in scoring position. I don't think that's a symptom of the batting coach. It's a symptom of the team itself. You can't teach guys to hit better with runners in scoring position.
Yeah,
it's a mental. It's more a mental thing, and it's more a team chemistry thing than your mechanics of hitting.
I will agree with you because I mean I see I watch all the games. I see them struggling in runners in scoring position. I've seen those numbers, because it came up a couple weeks ago. I think we talked about the fact that not only Soto, but everybody was sucking ass with runners in scoring position.
Yeah.
And it's a tough one, but it's also, I mentioned there the strength of schedule. I'm going to pull something up real quick here about where we were at, right? Take a look at this if I can. This is the strength of schedule of teams right now that they faced in 2025 up to now. And you can see right there that the New York Mets have faced the sixth hardest schedule up to this point, where they are. And at the bottom there, it won't show all the way, but Philly's all the way at the bottom, and they're at the head of the division, right? Philly's down there at 28. If I can remove the marker, which I will be able to in a moment, but I am technologically struggling.
While
But
you're while you're
yes,
while you're
right there.
struggling for a second, Rockies with the third hardest. I think that's why they're not winning so many games.
Yeah, I do think that that's a point to make. Like people forget we joke about it, but you can only play who's in front of you, right? And
Yep.
so you look at the Diamondbacks and the Astros, they've played some tough teams. The Pirates have struggled, but the Rockies is a good point. 9-46 sucks.
No,
But
it's not. It's not great. It's not great. But I mean, but also think. I mean, think about the division that they're playing in right now, right? I
mhm.
mean, the Dodgers are a mega team, right? I mean, they're going to roll their way to the World Series unless they trip over themselves. I know you guys don't want to hear that as Mets fans, but I mean
No,
that's
the Dodgers are the best team in baseball.
right, no
I don't have
doubt.
a problem saying that.
The Padres, I mean, the Padres are a super talented team. AJ Preller always figures out how to pull that team together. And the Diamondbacks are a very good team as well. So yeah, I can see why the Rockies are 9-46, but they
Does
still need
anything
to.
else? Does anything besides the fact that right there at 15 is the athletics? By the way, does anything else stand out to you guys on this list? By the way, if you look across the league, right there at the bottom, of course, it won't show on the graphic because it cuts off. But the last team on that list is the Cincinnati Reds, so they have the easiest strength of schedule so far at rank 30. But do any other of the teams here on this list kind of stick out to you as something that might pique your interest for later performance?
I'm happy that the 9-46 Rockies are coming into town. That's, hopefully that's a sweep.
Yeah,
You'd hope.
the Mets were facing the White Sox, of course, in this series going 2-1, and now we face the Rockies. There are going to
See, but
be
that's okay.
overall, yeah, there's going to be some opportunities. I think like winning cures everything. I very much agree with what Luke was saying and the idea of you can't really bring in a guy to teach them to hit better with runners in scoring position. For the most part, if they're performing to their overall extent, it's now a mentality thing. I mean, do we start to think about creative stuff? Look, are we going to have to life coach the Mets? Maybe, but I don't think that means that we need to get rid of Eric Chavez. If you want to bring in some drill sergeant and kind of get them into line, if we want to call one of those mythical team meetings where everyone they go out and they score 17 runs the next day, we've seen all that bullshit before. But I'm not there yet. And this is a guy who's obviously given up on Brett Beatty, and he might be making me look stupid in a couple months. So it's not like I'm the smartest guy in the room at any time. But we'll see what happens off that.
And then one more note on the runners in scoring position. Juan Soto last year with the Yankees batted 345 with the runners in scoring position. So I don't know if it's just a law of averages thing as well. It's just he'll figure it out, and he'll get back over 300 runners in scoring position. But clearly he's not playing to the level that he's supposed to be with runners in scoring position.
Luke, do you have all the individual Mets running and scoring position statistics there?
What was that?
Do you have all the individual statistics for each Met for the runners in scoring position?
I'm looking at MLB.com, and for some reason they only show like 5 of them. So I think there's probably some kind of at that.
It's based on qualification. That's also the
I
problem.
think there has to be some sort of qualification for it.
Yeah, when you try to organize it, because I brought that up earlier, it'll cut it off by like the at bat threshold, so you'll only see like the main guys. But as you mentioned, they were not looking sharp. I mean, after Alonso, it drops down significantly, and you've got these guys hovering around 200 for Nimmo, and then less than that for Lindor and Soto. To your thought about the law of averages, I think it will average back out. where I just don't expect a hitter of the quality of Juan Soto or Francisco Lindor to be under 190 for the season and runners in scoring position. I
Yeah.
feel like that just won't happen and that we don't need to panic react yet. Now, if the whole season goes by and there's an issue again, we'll bring it up. Peter, your point about the fact that Lindor did kind of call out Chavez, I agree with that. I heard it too. So it's very possible that that might have happened that way. But we'll give it some time. With rosier pastures ahead in terms of strength of schedule, we may not be having this conversation in 2 weeks. So we'll see what comes of that. But on the complete opposite side of that coin, where I now have to say nice things about the Yankees, so I'm going to have Luke do it instead. I am going to bring up something that you wanted to share with us, Luke, that came up on the Yankees broadcast, and I'm going to let you take the lead here. I'm going to put this on the stage.
Yeah.
So, talk to me about what we're looking at here in terms of Yankees and the homegrown talent.
Yeah, it was interesting on the broadcast Monday night. They were talking about homegrown talent. They're talking about those late '90s teams, the core four: Jeter, Rivera, Pettit, Posada. And it just seems like they're getting back into that formula of developing players, getting them out and letting them play. And I know that kind of goes counter to what I was talking about a couple weeks ago. But the production level you're getting from homegrown players is really astounding. Really, what made me think about it was they brought up this number about 60% of production is coming from homegrown talent, and I thought to myself, well, how much of it is coming from Aaron Judge, right? Like Aaron Judge is your homegrown talent. He's front runner for MVP. Again, unless he stubs his toe again, he's gonna run it back. But it's crazy. I mean, it really is crazy the amount of production that you're getting from guys that you develop through the farm system. Again, Aaron Judge making up 31%, which is half of your production from homegrown talent. But you're getting production from Anthony Volpe. You're getting production from Austin Wells. You're starting to see production from Jason Dominguez. I can't say enough nice things about Ben Rice, but Ben Rice has been a huge surprise this year with a 1.2 WAR and 23 RBIs. Making up 8% of the team's total production right now on offense. Before Oswaldo Cabrera got hurt, I mean, he was playing very well as well with 11 RBIs. We can't all be Trent Grisham, right, and have a 1.3 WAR, but you're getting a ton of production out of your homegrown talent, and it's really great to see as a Yankees fan. It's tough. Like it's tough that you have to live up to the expectations of Trent Grisham. I think it was probably one of the best deals we ever made because I mean we just had to give up Michael King to get him, and we're just rolling with them right now.
Mike King's on the IL right now too.
Exactly. Where is Trent Grisham? He's playing. So I mean, I think we won that deal.
From an outsider looking in on it, the Yankees have definitely improved their farm system a lot. For a while there, the joke was that Yankee fans think that a combination of Clint Frazier and Andujar can get you any baseball player that's ever lived. But I know Kenny's in our comments section. I've made this comment to him before, and he has agreed. With the exception of 09, because I feel like the Yankees did kind of buy that World Series, and that's not a dig. Good on them, they did that. But their success in the late 90s, early 2000s was built on homegrown players, and they really got away from that as the years went on. And they only have one World Series to show for it since two if you count 2000, but 2001 you have one World Series to show for that. So I think if they continue in this direction of going with homegrown guys and then just kind of chipping away at pieces as you need from free agency, they're going to be dangerous for a while. We'll see how much of these players can. Obviously, no one's going to be like Aaron Judge, but if you can, get a couple of these guys like Ben Rice and Volpe, Wells, as like really just great solid contributors, then the Yankees are going to be a problem for years to come.
Yeah, no, yeah. And Yeah, and I think we kind of went back into it in 2017, right? You see the ascension of Aaron Judge, Gary Sanchez when when he was the Kraken and he was actually good. Who else? Luis Severino as well. I mean, homegrown talent. The massive disappointment of Greg Bird, but the ever so often, chip shot to right field from Greg Bird. There was that sentiment in 2017 that this team came out of nowhere and had all this talent that was you felt developed, and you just kind of pushed away from it. And it's good to see that they're getting back into that as well. And guys like Will Warren stepping up this year, guys like Luis Gil stepping up last year. The farm system's strong. The farm system has definitely been strong, and I think you got to tip your cap to Brian Cashman on scouting these guys and bringing them in and developing them.
If we look at the raw numbers on this, and I really love graphics like this, which is why I'm leaving it up, it is, as much as we can make jokes about it, kind of amazing to see the level of player that Aaron Judge is, because we've had numerous conversations about the fact that Ben Rice is having a great season, right? But if you look at the raw numbers that are right in front of us, Aaron Judge is worth 4 Ben Rices. And that is absolutely, that's just fucking insane. Yeah. Right. To think about the idea that and this is one of those things where I could sit there and it's just, how glad are you that he didn't arson Judge sign with the Giants? Because really, no, but seriously, right? Like looking at this, just looking at these numbers, the Yankees would be dead in the freaking water if without Aaron Judge. Looking at this, right? And you look, because there's a lot of your points about the homegrown talent are there mathematically, but there's also other takeaways to look here. I mean, Austin Wells has been about as valuable as Trent Grisham. Volpe's been about as valuable as Trent Grisham. Dominguez has been as valuable about a third of Grisham. And Grisham's really overachieving. We know this. We talk about this. There's some reasons for worry in that regard, because what happens if some of these guys come down to earth? You needed more from Volpe, from Wells, from Dominguez, from Rice. I'm going to give Rice his due because he has been playing really well and his power numbers have been amazing. But even the non-homegrown guys, you go down this list because they've had a little bit less time because of the injuries, but like Jazz Chisholm, right? Less than a WAR at this point, and 6% of that compared to like Judge. That's essentially saying that Aaron Judge has been worth 5 Jazz Chisholms, right? So, and Jazz is a name, but he's also meant to be a productive member of the lineup. You're getting so much production from guys that you didn't expect, right? You're getting it from Goldschmidt, you're getting it from Bellinger, you're getting it from Grisham, and these guys may not be around for long, or they may cool off. So, do you feel a sense of fear, Luke? And I'm not, like it's not like a dun 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 the Yankees or that type of thing. They're in first, right? But like, doesn't this look, if we're looking at the numbers on the screen, unsustainable?
Yeah, I mean, you're asking me like, can Aaron Judge keep up, his 400 batting average? Is he gonna hit, 60 plus home runs, with 150 RBIs? Maybe.
I mean, he might. I hate to say it, but he freaking might. Honestly, and that's so annoying. Believe me.
I can't.
But he's not the one I'm worried about. He's not.
Yeah, I can't rule it out. And I'm sorry, just to go back a second too, like, saying that we'd be dead in the water if Aaron Judge, signed with the Giants. Maybe. I mean, look at what happened when Juan Soto left, right? I mean, the Yankees are able to pivot. They're able to be nimble with their moves. If you couldn't get Aaron Judge, they would have figured out to fill that void. Now, the next question is, those guys who fill the void, are they going to stack up and get that 31% that Aaron Judge is putting together? Who knows, right? But I count my blessings every day that he's still a New York Yankee and he's the captain of my team. So I don't really think about those hypotheticals a lot. But I don't know, there's always concern about guys coming back down to earth, right? I mean, we talked about the law of averages before. I mean, it goes in both directions, right? Again, Juan Soto's not going to hit, whatever it was, 140 with runners in scoring position throughout the year. Do I think Ben Rice is going to put up 100 RBIs? I mean, yes, because he's awesome. But these other guys, like Austin Wells and Anthony Volpe, they're going to teeter back and forth. But I think there's so much depth in the lineup that different guys are going to pick it up on different days, and they'll pull throughout the season.
Yeah, quite honestly, I disagree that the Yankees are solely Judge dependent. Yeah, obviously losing a guy like Judge is going to hurt. There's no denying that. But like these guys, we talked about the Mets being top heavy. The Yankees are relatively deep. I think you can say that a lot of these guys are overperforming, but they're still going out there and doing it. And until they stop, I feel like it's unfair to just say that the Yankees are Judge dependent.
I think it's a fair counterpoint. I personally disagree, obviously, because I just said it 2 minutes ago. But I just think it's one of those things where, and it might be just the doomer in me because I've been watching the Mets for so long, and things don't go right for us, and things go right for the Yankees when it doesn't make any sense, right? So it's one of those things where I'm like, look, at the end of the day, I would be a little more. I understand why sometimes Kenny gets nervous when he looks at the team because you've got if your second biggest contributor to your team in terms of WAR right now is Paul Goldschmidt, right? Yes, he looks good and the metrics look good, so he might have more in him. Like obviously, he's not like a spring chicken, but if you can give you 2-3 years of this stuff, it could work, right? Weirder things have happened. We've seen it happen, but I don't know if the crash comes quick.
But isn't it a little too early to solely be looking at WAR? Like that's very much a stat that grows over time. We're only a couple months into the season. Like, I mean, it might be a little bit too early to start counting WAR.
I don't know. I think because even if you look at the production, then it's the idea of like let's look at the RBI production. If you want to just switch to that number, right?
Yeah.
You're getting 20% from Goldschmidt and Bellinger. That seems reasonable, right? The RBI production does seem to be more normalized throughout the lineup, so I'll give you that. Like at least it seems like there's a fair distribution because even though Judge's WAR is insane, 16% of RBIs from that would speak to the fact of what you two were saying, that they're not Judge dependent, that it is pretty even. But I just begin to wonder what happens if that hitting stops being so even, because I just don't think that you're going to see that from Goldschmidt. I do think Cody Bellinger is going to cool off, although he's been hitting really well recently, but I get nervous about him. I'm not going to say anything negative about Trent Grisham because I really like Luke and I love pissing off Ash. So I'm not going to say anything negative about Trent Grisham.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's interesting to me.
No, but I think my point is that these numbers are not, they're good, but it's not like all of these guys have been riding hot streaks since opening day, right? Cody Bellinger struggled to start the season, right?
Yes, he did.
Jason Dominguez has been was struggling at the beginning of the season as well. Austin Wells was not the same batter that he was last season when he finished third in AL Rookie of the Year. There's push and shove in this lineup, and it just seems like there's a good chemistry of I'm figuring out at this time while someone else is struggling, and I'm picking up the slack here, and it varies from day to day, it varies from week to week. You see with Anthony Volpe too. I mean, there are weeks where it's just like he's putting up a ton of extra base hits, and then there's weeks where he just has like one or two hits, right? It's a line. That right there is the definition of a deep lineup of guys picking up where others are leaving off, and that's just what the Yankees lineup looks like right
now. Yeah, it makes sense. We are and on that looks like we've hit around an hour of our bullshit, by the way. So as we swing this around, of course, we'd like to give some last takes. As that's we'll see how these goes over week by week. I feel like we should start tracking our like random takes. Besides Peter like screaming that Brett Batty is his new Jesus. Like, I'd like to be able to. We should track our talks and our takes throughout the weeks and see. But I feel like we keep each other in check enough that I shouldn't even worry about.
I do. But I do want to correct you. It was Ben Rice that was Jesus. It wasn't Brett Beatty.
Peter, how do you feel about that? Are you actually worshiping Ben Rice and not Brett Beatty? Have I found a false
No.
prophet in our midst?
I said that Ben Rice is the next coming of Jesus.
Yeah.
No,
don't put words in my mouth, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so you don't think Brett Beatty is the next coming of Jesus? I thought you were a Brett Beatty super fan.
No, I think Brett Beatty is the next coming of Brett Beatty, and that's an excellent Hall of Fame ball player. That's what I think.
Well, that would suck because the first coming of Brett Beatty did not give me much to work with. So
well, that's okay because since his call at May 5th, that's 17 at bats. He's sporting a 353 batting average, and it seems like he finally got over his I hate worms phase, just hitting balls straight down. And like I mentioned before about the Mets batting approach, he's letting the balls go deeper, over the plate with his quick swing. He's able to, since he's seen the ball where it's going to go, he knows if it's going to be a ball or not. We're not seeing those, 0-2 counts start every at bat for him, and it's paying dividends.
Well, thank God for Eric Chavez then. All right, so let's wrap this one up here, fellas. Luke, what do you got for me as a final take on the night?
Yeah, I got two shout outs tonight. One is Ole Miss men's baseball, hosting regionals this week. Came up short against Vanderbilt in the SEC tournament, but phenomenal season, and hope the guys make it to Omaha. Second shout out goes to John in our CBL league, moving up to number 22 Binghamton. But beyond the CBL league, I do want to give him a shout out. Happy anniversary to him and Alyssa. I don't know how many years they've been married, but they have been married. And here's a little story about John and his anniversary. John was texting us last night. He was out to dinner. He's in Los Angeles and wanted updates on the Knicks game. So John is a dedicated Knicks fan. We love John. He is a New York through and through. And we love his wife because his wife loves him for him. And for any of y'all out there, find someone who loves you like Alyssa loves John.
That was undeniably wholesome, and I'm very shocked that it came out of you, I have to be honest. But I appreciate that. Peter, what do you got for me?
All right, well, to bring it back down a little bit, unfortunately, 9 years ago, we lost our beloved Harambe to absolute senseless murder. We should keep kids out of zoos, or on leashes, whatever you want to do there. But, really in this last 9 years, the world's kind of gone to shit. And I think there's a big correlation with Harambe not being there. So, I know it's almost midnight here, but just take a moment, just think about our boy Harambe and how missed he is.
As for me, I'll throw out a shameless plug for nothing that benefits me. But over the weekend for Memorial Day, Backyard Baseball '97 was on sale on Steam because they've re-released Backyard Baseball '97, and I love Backyard Baseball because it was a lot of fun for me. As somebody who learned the sport kind of self-taught, the video games did a lot for me. I've had a headline on here about Pablo Sanchez is my favorite player of all time. Right now on Steam, if you're a laptop person, you can get the game for $9.99, and you can get the mobile version for your phone of a remastered Backyard Baseball for $1 on the Play Store iOS. And I say that because you guys are in my age group. I know there are some people out there listening who are in that age group. Honestly, $10 would be spent on much worse things than these days than getting yourself some Backyard Baseball and just having a little fun with the best player of all time and Pablo Sanchez. So I'm going to have a little fun with that. Someone was nice enough to gift that to me because I'm too poor to afford $10 in the basement that Ash has us locked in right now. But I will be able to play. But on that note, keeping it lighthearted, we will be back next week, rain or shine, Knicks win or Knicks lose, to talk. I will not cry on air, but we will probably see a more illustrated breakdown from my part about why I'm pissed off or why the Knicks are going to win the title, and I'll be naked on stream. So with that, I'll be signing off for the night on behalf of Luke and Peter and myself. Have a great night. Thanks for listening to the New York Power Hour.